On Mother's Day, a few years back, my family decided to take my mum out for a movie and a big dinner to celebrate. It was a normal Sunday. We finished our chores around the farm and then got ready to go out. The sun had begun to set as we drove down our road. As we approached the stop sign at the end, two kids we didn't recognize were walking on the shoulder of the highway. They waved, as it is a custom courtesy. My mum didn't wave and told us not to either, since we had no idea who they were. I waved anyways, because I thought she was just being over-vigilant and rude, as she could be sometimes. Fast forward to several hours later. We were driving back home under the cover of darkness and turned down our dark gravel road to find it swarmed with cops and sheriffs. There were officers in tactical vests, carrying AR-15s, walking through the fields on either side of the road, officers walking the wood line, and a few cruisers in our driveway. We were stopped about 30 yards from the mouth of our driveway by an officer who asked us if we had seen anyone suspicious walking or driving down our road today. My mum told them that it just so happened that we had. He held up a drawing of a kid's face and asked if he looked familiar. It was one of the kids we had seen earlier, walking the highway. We sat in the middle of our road for another hour before they said we could go home. As we pulled into the driveway, we could hear our dog howling and barking from outside. She was usually of an extremely mild temper, loved strangers, and was a big baby. We unlocked the door and she refused to leave the deck, even growling at the sheriff that had followed us to the door. Of course, they didn't disclose to us what was actually going on until my dad, who was now thoroughly on edge, demanded to know what was happening. The officer asked if he could step inside to explain. My dad motioned for him to come in and closed the door behind him. The back of the door, which was now in plain view, had deep gouges and scrapes in it from our dog clawing and digging at the door. When the sheriff saw this, he sighed and asked if there were any weapons in the house. My dad explained that yes, there were, but they were hidden upstairs. Feeling a little relieved, he began to explain that there had been a murder earlier that day in a town an hour away, and they had been looking for their main suspect. They had spoken with his friends and gotten information that he had headed in our direction and had possibly been hiding somewhere in one of the buildings on our property. The officer told us that it was a good thing that we had a Doberman. Otherwise, he would have probably broken into the house in search of weapons, car keys, money, etc. He apologized for entering the buildings without my parents' permission, but hoped they understood the reason and severity of the situation. We asked if they found the guy, but they think he might have hidden in one of the barns and waited until it was dark to take off into the woods. None of us slept that night, in case he came back or was still around. Eventually, they apprehended the kid, and he was sentenced to life without parole for the death of his grandparents. Mother's Day murderer, let's not meet again. Hello everyone, SinisterShaf here. This was Mother's Day Murderer by maygoosetah. Thank you for letting me narrate your story. If you enjoyed the story, then please like and subscribe if you have not done so already. And, as always, stay sinister.